Well, it might be Blue Monday out there, but in here, it's not. Tons of great football to talk about today. What a weekend it was across Europe, and what a week it will be across the world of footy, from North America to Europe to maybe even South America. You never know. Lots to get to today in room 442. Hello, James Sharman here, alongside Michael Singh and Sarah Pararia. Yes, it was a crazy weekend, eh? I mean, just when you think you kind of figured out the leagues, they all change, which is why we have this first segment called Three Headlines. We each have a headline that really kind of tells a story of the weekend for us. Mikey, let's start with you. What do you have?
Yeah, let's roll the tape actually first, and then we can see what my headline will be. Roll the tapey.
It's a long season. There's plenty of games to play yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care the Premier League and the Carabao Cup. We cannot win, so we won a lot. So it's not a problem. The problem is behave and perform like we have done. Always we are focused on that. So Carabao Cup is out. What it doesn't matter. But we didn't perform how we were, how we are, and today we perform. And after the win another club. So, but now is don't be distracted for what happened today in the first goal and focusing, of course, in Spurs in a few days.
Pep Guardiola
Classic.
at his finest, and my headline is going to be Pep Guardiola, I don't care about the Premier League or Carabao Cup. What a salty manager Pep Guardiola is. Gets it absolutely handed to him by Manchester United, and the first thing he says coming off the pitch is, yeah, you know what? I don't care about the Premier League or Carabao Cup anyways. Carabao Cup, he was, of course, eliminated earlier on. And yes, check out that photo. Tell me this guy does not care about winning the Premier League?
Okay, Mikey, now I totally get what you're saying, and Pep's renowned for really weird press conferences. We know that. He has won a lot, though. He's won a ton. And this year, it's all about Europe, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sarah, it has to be.
Yeah.
He's got to win the
Pep
Champions
doesn't
League.
need to prove anything in the Prem, to be honest. But also, we know he cares about the Prem. He's just winding guys like this up. He's having a go, and next week he's going to be right back in it. But I do think that Pep needs to focus on the CL because he's proven what he can do in the Prem.
Do you think he cared about the Premier League 3 weeks ago?
Yeah,
he
of
cares
course.
about the Premier League
But
right now.
now
No,
he doesn't
he
care.
cares about it right now. He's just giving you guys a go, and
cared
it's
about
working because look how wound up
No, he
you
did
are.
back-
The Carabao
backtrack.
Cup before Southampton, too.
Yeah,
He
no.
he did backtrack a little bit. He was asked the next day about his comments, and he clarified. He's like, of course I care about the Premier League. It's just, if we lose against Southampton coming up then, and we're out of the contention here. And that's credit to what Arsenal's doing, and now the gap is, 8 points at the top of the league? That's pretty...
It's significant,
yeah.
for sure, but it's not insurpassable. I mean, we keep forgetting we're 18 games into the season for most of these clubs, right? 19 for some of them. It's still relatively early, right? Now, 8 points is still significant, I understand that, but it's still, all these narratives taking shape right now at both ends of the table, and crisis clubs, be it, Chelsea and Liverpool, whoever they are. I was going to get to Liverpool, don't worry.
He said it.
But I mean, there's still time to save your season, I think, in most cases. Even if you see certain teams spiraling, I think there's still some time. But they were great clips, yeah. I enjoyed that one because Pep's one of the managers to listen to post-match because he's either really happy or really weird like that. So salty's a good word for him, I think.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah, what's your headline?
Well, I actually forgot it, James, but it's definitely about Xavi bringing success to Barca and winning his first trophy. There we go. Xavi discovers a recipe. Okay, so I was close. Jesus.
Own it. That's great. I love it.
But yeah, no, big win for Barcelona this weekend. Super Cup, which I don't really think it's about the trophy as much. Like, we know this trophy is kind of a whatever, but Barcelona beating Real Madrid is always important. And they didn't just beat Real Madrid. They bossed them across the park. And this is the best performance I've seen from Barcelona this season. A statement after the way they started the season. They're knocked out of the Champions League. They were, figuring out what to do in La Liga. Don't know what their starting 11 is. First of all, this is their starting 11, maybe besides Dembele. Everyone else was amazing. Gavi, Pedri, Balde, Frankie de Jong, Sergi Busquets. It was class. And I think Xavi and the team needed it right now.
I can't remember such a one-sided El Clasico for
Messi
such a
when they won
long,
5-0.
yeah, such a long time ago, right? And as a Manchester United fan, I'm thinking about, oh man, we got to face this version of Barcelona in the Europa League in a couple weeks now. It's concerning from that perspective, but it was great to see Barcelona playing some beautiful football. There was a sequence during that match where they kept possession for about 5 minutes. You hear the Olays ringing around the crowd. I'm like, man, this kind of feels like Barcelona of old right now. It was nice to see.
Barca United in the Europa League. I mean,
Oh,
I
it's
wonder
gonna be
when we see
great.
that again, right?
Yeah.
Could be a long time the way both those teams are playing right now. I had to read my headline because it's in French, and there's no way I remember it. You know, I finished French in like grade 2, I think it was, and nothing since. C'est un jeudi parfait. All right, which is about Jonathan David and Lille this past weekend. They just dominated, beat Troyes 5-1. Ike Ugbo didn't play actually in that one, but John David scored 2 goals. So basically it says it's a perfect day. That's what John David said. He's on fire right now, 12 goals in the league campaign. He's Lille's all-time leading non-European player to lead, I think, 40 goals for his career at Lille now. This guy's always been linked with moves to bigger clubs. It's going to happen at some point. I'm not sure if it's going to happen this January. Lille's right now in contention for a championship, right? PSG are losing points, it seems, every weekend right now. Lille are playing great football on the back of his goals. I do wonder if it's going to be this summer as opposed to this January.
It was his birthday, too.
23.
Yesterday. He just turned 23, and you think about all the lucrative moves that are happening right now in world football. My biggest question is not necessarily January or the summer. It's how much. How much is Jonathan David going to be transferred for right now? You'd have to think he's approaching 50, 60 million if he keeps up this form.
Depends if Chelsea buy him or not.
Yeah.
It's going to be,
Add another 20 million.
140.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think Lille are content with holding on to Jonathan David right now. The hope was during the World Cup, he'd be able to really inflate his transfer value and force a move away from them. That obviously didn't happen. So now he has between now and the rest of the year to do that. And right now, he's definitely doing that.
He mentioned post-match about how being consistent is so important to him. And he had a bad World Cup. Let's admit, he had a bad World Cup.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Players have bad World Cups. Doesn't make them bad players. But he's shown that consistency once again now, which is great. Very quick on to mention Chelsea. Mudryk signs for about 100 million, Sarah, from Shakhtar Donetsk. We thought he was going to Arsenal. He thought he was going to Arsenal as well. A bit of a weird one there, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel bad for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta probably got the carpet pulled from under them a little bit there, but really expensive. He's a great player, but he's young. Like, let's see what he can do. This is a gamble.
I like it. I like the signing. It's bold. It's what Chelsea needed up top, and he's a quality player in my opinion. I really like the signing.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. And without João Felix for 3 games, they need something, don't they? Time for a break, though. When we come back, we'll look back at England and derby days. What a weekend it was of derbies. Huge ones, in particular for Arsenal and, of course, Man City. It's room 442.
Two heated rivalries, 2 massive wins, and an 8-point gap at the top of the table, and more controversy than you can shake a stick at. At opposite ends of the country last weekend, the Manchester and North London derbies did not disappoint. For Eric Ten Hag's side, a 2-1 win at Old Trafford meant both revenge for that humiliating 6-3 defeat back in October, and a demonstration of just how far United have come under the Dutchman. Since that defeat, the Red Devils have lost only once in 19 matches, and the win on Saturday saw them move within 1 point of Pep Guardiola's side. Marcus Rashford was center stage again, both for the late winner that saw him become the first player since Teddy Sheringham to score in 9 consecutive home matches, and for his part in United's equalizer, where he was clearly offside and interfering with play. There was drama at the other end of the pitch too, as goal machine Erling Haaland was limited to just 19 touches by center back Luke Shaw. Yep, you heard that right. Defeat for the Blues meant Arsenal could pull away even further at the top, and the Gunners did just that with the first Premier League win at Spurs since 2014. A Hugo Lloris own goal and a Martin Odegaard strike saw the Gunners run out 2-0 winners on Sunday, and Mikel Arteta's side making it 15 wins from 18 games in the league and only a single defeat all season. But that loss came at the hands of Man United, who will be Arsenal's next opponents this coming Sunday. By then, Ten Hag's side could have closed the gap to just 6 points, making it another massive weekend for the Gunners. With almost half the season gone, are Arsenal well and truly on their way to a first Premier League title since 2004? And if Man U keep winning, could the Red Devils even force their way into the title frame as well?
Thanks, Sarah. And there's the top 10 as it stands right now. Arsenal 8 points clear of Man City after that great weekend of derby action. Even Newcastle, they were lucky, by the way. They took care of Fulham 1-0, but they were very, very fortunate given a Mitrovic double hit penalty that didn't count in that one. But still, there's your standings right now. Really interesting. Look at 9 and 10, Liverpool and Chelsea. But listen, the story so far, with respect to the Fulhams and Brightons and Brentford, it has to be Arsenal so far this season. We'll deep dive on Arsenal's season later in this week in Room 442. But to start with, I'm curious, right now Arsenal are finally, for the first time in, well, over a decade, favourites to win the Premier League. They're at -125. They weren't favourites on Friday. Those results have changed everything. City now at +130 to win as second favourites. What's your buy-in, Sarah, right now on Arsenal as a title favorite, not even contender?
Love it. Love it. Absolutely love the switch up. I also really like it because they're such a young team. Like the youngest team in the Prem, youngest coach. There's so much inspiration behind them, I think. And they play really good football. And when I was watching the game against Tottenham, one of the things I noticed actually, so many teams, big teams right now, aren't consistent. They're not playing good football. They're not playing well, to be quite frank. Arsenal not only is playing good football, but they are so quick to get the ball when they lose it. It's fantastic, and I'm pleased for them. Like I'm think it's completely deserved that they are the favorites.
Albert, welcome into the show, by the way.
Thank you.
Tough weekend for you. Old Spurs fan that you are. Arsenal take care of Tottenham 2-0, as we heard there. And the scoreline didn't really do them justice. I thought they were great in that one. And Spurs, once again, really struggled. It must pain you to acknowledge that Arsenal are at least in the conversation to be a favourite. Do you think they should be?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been talking about Arsenal for weeks, even months now, saying they're legit. I know everyone's trying to say, well, when are they going to slip up? You know, they got to pass this test. They got to pass this test. How many tests do Arsenal have to pass until we say they're the best team in the Premier League, right? They played Tottenham off the pitch completely in a North London derby at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I know how bad Spurs have been, but that is a huge result in a derby like that. To come out and not only just win the game, but dominate the game. They probably could have had 3, 4, maybe even 5 goals. And Spurs weren't in it.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I hate to take it back to Tottenham while we're talking about Arsenal, but I just don't understand how a team, every single game, it's like deja vu. They start well for 10 minutes. They drop off. They sit back. They concede once or twice. They come out firing in the second half, but they can never get the job done.
All right, so you have a team in let's go
happening.
Tottenham here a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't plan on doing this, but okay, so Conte is the manager. He's one of the most respected managers in world football.
Right.
He's a genius. He's brilliant. This is a team that's languishing, right? Trying to stay in contention for European football. They lost to their rivals, outplayed off the park. They're a team that, as you mentioned, consistently put in only 45 minutes of action. They play dismal, dismal football. What the hell is the deal with Conte? Is he that good?
Nope.
I don't know. I keep hearing, if you go on Twitter after that game, it's Conte out, Conte out, Conte out. I'm not sure he's 100% to blame because you see what the players are capable of when they decide to play.
But it's his job to set them up to succeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I exactly. And I think he has the way he wants to play in his mind, and he tries and, tell his team to play the way he wants them to play. But Spurs just don't have those players. If you look at that team and you talk about players who are, performing above expectation or as expected. You maybe Harry Kane, Bentancur, Kulusevski, just a couple of positions. But then you look at the center backs, not good enough outside of Christian Romero. Doesn't have the full backs, doesn't have the midfielders, definitely does not have the keeper. So I don't know what players he needs exactly, but it's not those guys.
Well, I think you still have class on the team, and you should be performing way better than what they are doing. I always have said Conte and Tottenham were never a mix. Conte is a class manager, but this was always weird to me.
Well, when you want a player or a manager that's committed to the team, when you're rebuilding a team, if he's demanding all this money from the brass, from Daniel Levy, surely he must then commit himself to the club beyond this season as well, right? It's a real messy situation.
Yeah,
there
I think
right
so.
now.
But the club needs to understand how the manager that they hired operates.
Yeah.
He needs to spend money. This is what he's done. If you look at all the managers, top managers across the world, one thing they have in common is that they all spend money. They're all backed by their clubs, and that's why they're successful, and that's why they're managing at the top level. Conte is the same as those managers. If you bring him in and not give him what he wants, these are the results you're going to get. And I will say, when you look at the players on the pitch, like, not good enough. Hugo Lloris, I've been saying it time and time again. Everyone, World Cup winner, fantastic. Tons of caps for France, and most cap keeper at World Cup, blah, blah, blah. But he has those mistakes in him. And those mistakes can potentially and probably will cost them top 4.
United, once again, a contender. Is that fair to say? They're at plus, I think, 1,100 now. Obviously, they're not going to well, you never know. They're a point back of City at the moment. But when you put them in that contender bracket now, Manchester United, after the dreadful start they had?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, they really turned it around. Ten Hag came in and really changed this team with a couple of players like Casemiro. I think it's been fantastic. Against City, though, a couple controversial calls, I will say. That was offside, and I just think it's a bit, I don't know.
It's the worst call of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, like it takes, I don't think City deserved to win that game in any sense of it, but I mean, come on. Like, it was just ridiculous. But United played well and they won the game and they deserved to. And yeah, I definitely think they're in the run for the title.
Thankfully, Pep doesn't care about the Premier League, right?
Not even a bit.
It doesn't matter. So City lose again. Haaland is now scoreless in 2023. He's still bossing the race of the Golden Boot, but something's not gelling there right now. And I'm not blaming Erling Haaland, right? He's doing all he can right now. But you look at them last year when they spread the wealth, the way they moved. Can you at some point the finger at that signing and say, listen, it's going to take some time for even Pep to figure out how to integrate him properly in that side? Because right now something's wrong, and the one common denominator is the big guy up front.
Right. There's been some regression. If you look at their numbers last season through as many games, they've actually have less points, and their goals against has doubled by 9 goals. So defensively, there's an issue, and we can go back to Haaland and all these players, but one consistent player that's been missing is Ruben Diaz. A lot of people may not rate him as one of the top center backs in the world, but for that team, he's the glue. He makes everything stick. No John Stones as well. He's been out with an injury, at least in the last matchup. So there's definitely been some regression going forward. The goals are still there. It's just defensively. So I can't point the finger at Haaland.
What do you think, sir? I mean, am I being crazy to suggest that they're not as good without Haaland? Is it just down to defense, like Albert says there?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Albert. Haaland's the kind of player where if he doesn't get the service, he can't score the goals. And this was why I always was leaning a bit more towards Mbappe than Haaland in that debate, because I think Mbappe can create a lot more chances. They shut Haaland down completely. He has no service. He can't do anything. So I do wonder if they need to also focus on using the wings more and those players on the side instead of just trying to get the ball to him, because it didn't work.
It's an evolution, right, of these teams. And again, you can criticize Pep, which is ridiculous. You can criticize Haaland, it's ridiculous. But it does take new players coming to teams a time to adapt and for the team to adapt to them more so. And it's been brilliant, right? I mean, it's going to score maybe, who knows, 40 goals this year, right?
Yeah.
Although that's coming down a little bit at the moment.
One thing I will mention, Gundogan a couple weeks ago did say that this team is lacking desire, which I've never heard from a City player before. So there's something going on in that dressing
Who's the
room.
guy in that team that grabs them by the shoulders and say, listen, boys, let's do this. Let's
Pep.
fight through.
Yeah.
You can't play, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting, though. But what a weekend of derbies it really was across European football. When we come back, it's a great week coming up across Europe, of course. Some big games coming up. Some Super Cups, if you think they're a big deal or not. Some leagues, some other cups. So we'll get into some of our picks for this week in all things football after the break. Welcome back to Room 442. Time now for Fast Money Football. A busy week across Europe. We'll try and make you some money with some bets you might want to consider here. Albert, what's yours?
I'm going with Wolves to qualify.
I knew it.
Past Liverpool. Listen, Sharms, I can't back Liverpool at the moment. They're favored in this. All the value is with Wolves to win this game. I don't want to back them straight up on the line because there is obviously Liverpool, a fantastic team. They can come away with the result. But based on their form, how fragile and how disorganized they are defensively without Virgil van Dijk, and I'm not sure what kind of 11 Klopp is going to put out there. I think with Chelsea looming, right? Is that the next fixture?
That's right, yeah.
For Liverpool. So I'm going to go Wolves to qualify around plus 148.
Plus 148, yeah. It could well happen. And they're playing good football right now under Lopetegui. He's changed it around entirely. It's been a really good
A lot
signing.
of good players on that team.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Sarah.
It's got to be Copa del Rey. Villarreal to qualify against Real Madrid. We obviously saw Real lose to Barca. They're in a bit of a slump. Villarreal, on the other hand, have been really coming into their own, and they've only lost one match at El Madrigal, which is where this game will be held, and they beat Real Madrid, actually, just 3 weeks ago. Yeremy Pino, Gerard Moreno, really, really on fire right now. I'm taking Villarreal. We love the dogs.
Just hammering on Real Madrid this week for a change.
Absolutely.
Sarah's perfect show today.
If it was Champions League, no way would I ever go against them. But Copa del Rey, why not?
You get chances of, champion Barcelona, hammer Real Madrid. What a show for Sarah. Blue Monday.
No,
I
it's
don't
Happy
think so.
Monday.
Yeah, it's Happy Monday for sure. Great band, by the way. Happy Mondays before you guys are born, probably.
Sorry,
Anyway,
no,
for me, I'm going to Italy. Now, it's a Super Cup,
Oh,
right?
huge.
Which is, whether you like them or hate them, I generally hate them, but it's a Milan derby, right? Which is always great. Inter Milan, AC Milan. They played earlier this year, 3-2. AC Milan in that one, a great match. I'm going for the draw at plus 240 in this one. It's weird having these games in the middle of the season. Both teams are quite cagey, I think, against each other. So I'm going to go plus 240 in this one. And then, hey, listen, it could go to extras. It could go to penalties. But I'm liking the draw in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Inter just nearly got by Parma midweek, and they look a little. I don't know. They're not
Bit shaky.
convinced. Yeah, exactly. AC Milan, I think, are they the favorites in this? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
they are,
So,
just.
but something about San Siro, Milan derby, the draw. I also think this has extra time written all over it.
Everything going on in Serie A right now is so
nuts.
exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
Napoli, how they just destroyed Juventus, Victor
Yeah.
Osimhen. I mean, a lot of people right now are saying he's maybe the best striker in the world, alongside
Kvaradona?
Erling Haaland. Huh?
Kvardana.
Kvaradona? Oh yeah, Kvaratskhelia. What do you have, two or three assists in that game?
Nasty.
They look fantastic.
They do. Yes, a weird league. And when Juve, though, enter crisis mode, they generally come out of it and win something as well.
Right.
So I don't think it'll be this year, mind you, but they're in big-time crisis.
I wonder if whatever's going on, if they do get demoted or relegated to the Serie B, if some players are going to stick around like they did the
As
last time.
Buffon did.
Yeah.
Did Del Piero stick around?
I want to
Was
say he
there?
did.
I think he
I
may
think
have done.
Pirlo left.
Yep.
Yeah, he went to.
Milan.
Yeah.
Speaking of Milan, man, that's a long time ago now.
I know.
The what's it called again? Not Catenaccio. That's the style of football they play.
Calcio.
No, not
Calcio.
Calcio. No, the actual match fixing scandal.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I don't
It'll
know.
come to me. It'll come to me at some point. But yeah, we've got some Super Cup action. I mean, as we discussed earlier last week, it means nothing, Sarah, no matter who wins them. But we'll see what happens there. Anyway, it should be a fun week. Lots coming up this week. We'll be having covered throughout Monday through Friday. It's room 442. Cheers for watching.